Good evening and welcome to Chesapeake Public Schools Family Empowerment Webinar presented by the Office of Family and Community Engagement, FACE. I am Ana Medina, one of the FACE specialists. Our office, which is under the Department of Engagement, seeks to create meaningful partnerships in order to inspire, engage, and empower families, educators, and community agencies to support the initiatives of Chesapeake Public Schools. We are typically available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and can be reached by our main phone line at 757-482-5923 or FACE at cpschools.com. We are excited to offer our families a course catalog entitled Peak Parent University that outlines all of our events for the school year. You can also catch up on pre-recorded webinars, access a wealth of educational resources, and make community connections to promote your family's well-being. Please visit www.cpschools.com and search Peak Parent University. We thank you for joining us tonight for our Ways to Raise a Reader webinar. We are happy to have joining us tonight panelists from English Language Arts in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. Before we begin, I want to let you know this webinar is being recorded to share on our Chesapeake Public Schools YouTube channel. Participants' cameras and the chat feature are disabled. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A feature located about the bottom of this screen. We will answer all questions by the conclusion of tonight's presentation. And now we would like to introduce our panelists. First, we have Melissa Goodwin, Supervisor of English. Next, we have Elena Baker, Coordinator of English and Language Arts. And finally, Tracy Brandana, Coordinator of Curriculum and Intervention. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to Melissa Goodwin. Welcome, Melissa.
Hi, Anna. Thank you so much to you and to our partners in FACE for this opportunity. Hello, families, and welcome to our session on discovering ways that families can support our students in becoming confident and successful readers. We're very excited to have you join us this evening as we share ways that you can support your students with literacy. In every session we host, we like to start our discussion by setting a purpose. On the screen, we've listed our intended learning outcomes for our discussions this evening with you. We want to help you discover the importance of supporting your students' literacy journey at home. We want to support you as you build a literacy environment at home where your student can grow and develop into a successful reader. We also want to help you determine additional ways that you can incorporate literacy practices into your daily routines. Now that we've set the stage for our discussions this evening, we want you to pause and take a moment to determine why you chose to join us this evening. Why do you want to raise a reader? As a parent, I personally wanted to ensure that my child was a successful and confident reader, because if you can read, you can do anything. As educators, we all want to help your student grow into a confident and fluent reader, because we know that as your student progresses through the grade levels, reading becomes more complex and impactful on their educational journey. So with that said, let's take a moment or two to write down why you want to raise a reader. The first part of our session this evening, we are going to be focusing on the importance of literacy at home. Why is it important that families place importance on reading and writing at home? What does literacy even mean? Let's take some time to understand what literacy is and why it is important to support at home. Dr. Marilyn Adams, who is a visiting scholar at Brown University and a specialist in cognition and education, has this powerful quote about reading aloud with children. Reading aloud with children is known to be the single most important activity for building the knowledge and skills they will eventually require for learning to read. You can also see listed here that Dr. Adams was a literacy advisor for Sesame Street, and if you remember it, the show Between the Lions. But what does Dr. Adams mean by this quote? How can reading aloud be the single most important activity that we can do to support our students before they even learn a letter or a sound or anything to do with reading? We're going to find out together.
Literacy is made up of many components. As educators, what we teach comes from the standards of learning that the State Department of Education approves. Those literacy standards fall into several different overarching categories, some of which are listed on the screen. As families, we can also support this learning at home. When we read aloud with our students, we're building communication skills. Students are developing oral language skills by listening to our words, by interacting with discussions about the pictures or what happens in the story, by asking questions, by reading along, or even by pretending to read along with us. Children begin learning those oral language skills at a very young age, and all of those interactions are important to the growth of their communication skills. Next, by reading aloud, we're also building background knowledge. Our students gain experience by reading a book with you through the story or information presented in the book. They also build background knowledge through the questions asked and the discussions that you have with them about the book. If you extend those moments by looking up answers to their questions or by creating special experiences, they then gain even more knowledge. Personally, I know for me, it feels like my two children ask about 100 million questions a day. And sometimes, knowing that we're busy, it can feel a little bit frustrating. However, we try to do what we can to inspire that curiosity by looking up answers to their questions together when we can do so. For example, my son often asks me questions about the American presidents and animals because those are areas of interest for him. Often, I don't know the answer to the questions that he's asking, so we spend some time together using Google to find the answer, and then we talk about what we learned together. Additionally, we can also build communication skills and develop background knowledge through reading with our students and supporting the increase of their vocabularies. They hear, see, and experience new words in these interactions, and that in turn helps them build their ability to understand words once they begin to read and as they continue to develop as a reader. Additionally, we can support student comprehension by asking questions about what our students are reading and having them explain what they have read. For example, discussing the characters of a story or what happened in the story, or asking them to share some new facts that they learned in a nonfiction book, or what was the text all about. We can also support writing through read alouds by having students write about what they have read. This helps students get additional practice on handwriting skills, sentence construction, and it's also another opportunity for them to reflect on their thinking about the text. In her book, Overcoming Dyslexia, Dr. Sally Shaywitz shared this graphic about the amount of words students gain when they read at home. When we look at the time spent reading at home, students who read less than 1 minute a day only gained about 8,000 words per year. Students who spent 4.6 minutes a day gained about 282,000 words per year, and students who read about 20 minutes per day gained 1.8 million words per year. Now, this graphic represents students who read independently, but reading aloud has an equally important impact on student language development and vocabulary. Imagine all the words they hear and see when you read aloud with them for just 20 minutes a day. We know that we all have different types of readers at home. If you have students who are emerging readers, they are in the process of beginning to notice letters and sounds. If you read with them frequently, or they have that one book that they love to read over and over again, they may pretend to read it with you because they have started to memorize it. They're exploring how text works by pointing at the words or pictures. They may want to flip the pages or look more closely at the cover. And they spend a great deal of time studying the pictures and talking about what they see. These are all wonderful things that they should be doing as emerging readers. For families with early readers, students are beginning to decode words, meaning that they're working out how to sound out words. So, for example, the word cat. They may tap it on their fingers or on their arm and then blend it back together. So it would look like k, at, cat, or k, at, cat. They tend to prefer shorter books as they begin to independently read because more complex books can be a bit overwhelming and tiresome when you're working so hard to sound out each word. They also might benefit from high interest texts on topics that they enjoy, such as animals, space, or familiar characters from TV. Emerging readers and early readers continue to benefit from having time spent with families reading aloud. You may have students who are advancing past the beginning and early reading stages, and they are now what we call a progressing reader. These readers continuously read more fluently, meaning that they're not sounding out each individual word, and they start to use expression as they read. Progressing readers need to read all different types of text, both fiction and nonfiction. We can also continue to support their reading habits by engaging them with topics of high interest. Maybe they love basketball. There are tons of nonfiction books on basketball and basketball players, or even fiction books about characters who play basketball. Whatever it is that piques their curiosity, there's probably a book to fit that curiosity. Even with our progressing readers, we can still read aloud. They continue to build fluency when they hear others read aloud from the book, and they can join in on having fun by reading with you or another member of your family. This is a time that is a great way to just have a moment, make an event of it, and just build that family literacy love together.
All right, so now that we have an understanding of the importance of literacy at home, let's discover some ways that we can create a supportive literacy environment for our students. First and foremost, we have to send positive messages about reading and writing. Your excitement about literacy feeds their excitement about literacy. One way I like to express a positive view of literacy is by picking out a book and discussing how interested I am in reading it. I look at the cover, I get excited to offer to read it to my kids before bed. Another way could be asking them about what books they picked out from the school library this week. Just asking them about the books and their experience at the library sends that message that you are interested in what they are reading. In addition to sending positive messages about reading, students need access to books. So making reading accessible is going to make it more likely to occur. In our school, students go to the school library. They can select a book or books that can be read at home. The local library also offers a free membership for all of our students in Chesapeake Public Schools, free of charge. And there are several different online opportunities to access books. And if you have questions on how to find books, feel free to contact your student school for a whole bunch of ideas. So we're sending positive messages and we're providing that access to the books. So now we need to talk, and talk, meaning a literacy environment is full of communication opportunities. As we read aloud, as students read to themselves, etc., we want to encourage you to engage in conversations with them. Discuss the book, talk about what they liked or they didn't like. Ask them what do they want to read next and why. There's truly endless opportunities for conversations surrounding literature at home. So remember, in a literacy environment, we want to encourage our students to engage in a variety of different types of books. We want to provide them with freedom of choice to help maintain that interest. And with all of it, we want to make it fun. Reading together is one of the highlights of my day. I look forward to it at the end of the day with my two kids before bed. And it just should be that opportunity to just have as much fun with it as possible.
So, just like Dr. Shaywitz's graphic showed us, the more our students read daily, the more successful of a reader our students become. So, how can we support daily literacy opportunities at home? When we look at our student as a reader, at their core is home. They are encouraged to read and interact with high interest texts. And then at school, they participate in the daily literacy instruction. We all, in turn, help your student feel successful and supported as a developing reader. Words are around us every day. Take the opportunity to write a grocery list with your student or share a list with your student. Encourage them to point out or find items on the list. Read the words on labels, on signs, on buses. There are so many ways to raise a reader. What can those daily literacy opportunities look like? We have a list of ideas here. Take time to discuss what your student is reading at home or at school each day. Just a quick check-in, which shows that you have a vested interest. You can suggest a book to share together that evening, before bed, or after dinner. It's a great way to revisit some of your beloved books from your childhood or schooling and share it with your student. Find a book that has a movie adaptation. Make it a reward for reading the book together. Then you get to watch the movie together. Create a reading journal that you can share with each other. Your student could record the book and the author that you read together and jot down some notes on the book or draw a picture of their favorite part. Then at the end of the year or month, you can reflect on how many books you have read and what you enjoyed about them. That leads into creating book critiques. Maybe in that journal, you both reflect on your feeling about the book and whether or not you would recommend it to others. Even your emerging readers can do this. Those littles can draw a picture or a smiley face depending on what they thought about the book.
Other ideas could be rereading some of their or even your favorite books. I know with our kids, they love it when we take out that one book that we read to them when they were really little and read it again together. Audiobooks are another great resource to support your students. The Chesapeake Public Library has great options for audiobooks through an app that can be downloaded on a device. You can listen anywhere, in the car, on the way to school, or on a special trip, anytime you have the opportunity to listen to the book. Additionally, we cannot stress enough that reading and writing are connected. Any way that you can connect reading and writing, you are supporting your student with their literacy development. Have them write or draw a response to what they've read. Writing can be fun. Maybe they want to draw a picture and write about a favorite scene, or pick out interesting words to talk to you about the meaning and then look up the meaning. Maybe they even want to write a letter to the author and tell them what they thought about the book. The possibilities are truly endless. We wanted to share a couple of videos modeling some of these interactions. In this first video, you will see an emerging reader preparing to have a book read aloud with their parent. Listen to the interactions between the parent and the child.
All right, why did you pick out this book?
Because it's funny.
Okay. What do you think this story is going to be about?
This girl changing colors every day.
All right, so the author is David Shannon, and he's also the illustrator. So what does the author do?
He draws the pictures.
No, he doesn't draw the picture.
Write the words.
Authors write the words. What does the illustrator do?
Draw the pictures.
Good.
In the next video, we have a progressing reader who is writing and drawing about their favorite part of the story after the book has been read aloud.
Because it's funny.
Okay. What do you think this story is going to be about?
This girl changing colors every day.
All right, so the author is David Shannon,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also the illustrator.
Okay, so we just read the book, Dog Breath, The Horrible Trouble with Halitosis. What was your favorite part of the book?
Where the aunt fell down in the chair because of halitosis.
And why did she fall down?
Because of the stinky breath of halitosis.
Because of the stinky breath of the dog, halitosis. All right, so what I'm going to ask you to do is I want you to write a sentence about your favorite part of the book and then draw a picture that reminds you of that part. So what sentence are you going to write?
I'm going to write, my favorite part is when the aunt fell over because of the dog's stinky breath.
Okay, so go ahead and write your sentence. What do you need at the end of your sentence?
Period.
Good job. Now you can draw a picture of what it reminds you of, or that reminds you of that scene.
Okay. I'll do that.
Nice job, buddy. Excellent work. So did you enjoy the book?
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we just...
All right, so in order to provide these literacy opportunities, we have to have some resources. Your student's teacher is always a great resource to reach out to first. They know your student and can offer ideas to support them. Your school's library is also a great place where students often are able to check out books, and those books are great to read aloud together at home. The Chesapeake Public Library is free for all our CPS students, and they are able to check out books using their student ID. The Chesapeake Public Library also provides activities and resources to support literacy at home and on the weekends. So many great events and resources are available to be explored there. We also wanted to provide you with a resource to help spark those literacy conversations at home, and have curated just a short list of conversation starters that you can use to guide your discussions of books with your students. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can place that in the chat. All right. I don't know if we're able to, but if not, we'll make sure that we're able to get it to you. All right, so additionally, the University of Virginia has a fabulous online resource with a wealth of ideas to support literacy at home on their family resource page. And we'll also be able to provide you with the link, but here is a QR code so that you can access the web page. When you go into the web page, you're going to see just a whole bunch of different activities and ideas for all different parts of literacy, from communication to vocabulary building to phonics to comprehension. So it's just a great resource to have at your fingertips to help support what you're already doing at home.
We are just so thankful that you joined us this evening to discuss different ways that you can raise a reader and grow a love of literacy with your student at home. This quote really says it all. The time you spend reading with your student is definitely not time wasted, but memories created. And as the mom of a Chesapeake Public Schools high school student, we read all the time, and definitely those are memories that we hold on to. And I have raised a reader, and these activities really do work, and we definitely encourage you to try this with your student at home. So just thank you so much again for being with us. And at this time, we would just like to turn the program back over to Anna.
Thank you so much, all the panelists, for sharing this important information. We've had several questions throughout the webinar. Ms. Salamino.
Yes. So one of the questions was, can students join? I don't know if you meant the webinar itself. They can definitely sit with you and watch the webinars with you. That's totally fine. Um, and I'm just seeing now that somebody said that they could not hear us. So unfortunately, I'm sorry I didn't see that during the presentation because I was sharing my screen, but I'm hoping that that was resolved. All of our webinars are recorded and posted. You will also get an email with the links that they provided for us in that presentation. So even though the chat was disabled for everybody and you couldn't see that link live, there will be an email follow-up that has all that information for you. But if there are any
Excellent.
other
Thank you.
questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat for us.
Thank you so much. Well, this concludes our Ways to Raise a Reader webinar. Again, I would like to thank all of our panelists for sharing information with us this evening. Please remember, like she just said, the webinar has been recorded. It will be uploaded to Chesapeake Public Schools YouTube page within the next several days. Again, thank you for joining us this evening. And remember, families and communities work better together. Have a great evening, everyone.